They told me the sea would make me a man. They said it was freedom, endless skies, adventure, a chance to see the world. But the truth is, I didn't choose the sea. Hunger did. The land had nothing left for me. My village was cold and poor. My father died coughing his lungs out in the fields, and my mother sold her hands to washing other people's clothes until her skin split. When the recruiters came, promising food, wages, and a place in the great voyage to the new world, I signed, not out of hope, but out of desperation. The ship loomed like a wooden beast in the harbour. The smell hit first tar, fish, rot, and human filth. It wasn't the scent of glory. It was the scent of hundreds of men packed into a coffin that floated. We slept in hammocks, strung inches apart. Rats ran across our faces at night. The walls were damp, the air so thick with sweat and mildew that it felt like breathing through wet cloth. The officers stood above us, boots polished, eyes full of contempt. We were expendable. Cargo that ate and bled. I remember the first time I climbed the rigging, my fingers raw from the rope, wind slicing through my clothes, stomach twisting with fear. The ocean below looked like the mouth of something ancient, waiting to swallow us. When the land disappeared, the silence hit harder than I expected. Just water everywhere. No sound but the groan of the hull and the endless crash of waves. The horizon became our prison wall. Days turned to weeks. My body learned to work without thought of scrubbing, climbing, pulling, and hauling. The salt burned my skin until it cracked. The wind whipped tears from my eyes, but no one noticed. That was the first lesson the sea taught me. You stop being human fast out here. Food. That's what you think about most after the first month. The bread hard as stone, crawling with maggots. The meat salted so long it was more salt than flesh. And the water black, thick and sour. You could smell it before you drank it. We chewed rope ends when hunger got bad. Some boiled their belts in seawater. The worst was scurvy. Your gums bled. Your teeth loosened and dropped into your hands like dead seeds. Wounds refused to close. Flesh turned yellow and soft. Men coughed blood on deck, their bodies shaking as if the sea itself was trying to pull them apart from inside. There was no doctor, only the quartermaster, who cut limbs with a dull saw and poured rum on the wound if you were lucky enough to live through it. The smell of death never left the ship. Rotting meat, rotting wood, rotting men. And still, we sailed. The captain didn't care who died, as long as the sails stayed full. He shouted orders like a god above the rest of us. His meals came from a different store, clean bread, dried fruit, sometimes even wine. We could smell it when he opened his cabin door. That smell was torture. Storms came without warning. Winds so strong they tore the sails apart and ripped men from the deck. I saw one man vanish overboard one moment he was there. Next he was gone. No one shouted his name. There was no point. The ocean keeps what it takes. Every day, we worked until our bodies gave out. The rope tore open our palms, salt water stung every cut, and the sun turned skin to leather. At night, the cold came deep, wet, bone-crushing cold. The kind that made your teeth chatter until your jaw ached. We prayed for land, even if it killed us, because at least land felt like something solid, something real. You lose track of time at sea. The days blend into one another, like the waves all the same, all meaningless. Some men began to talk to the ocean, others sang to themselves, or cried silently into their hammocks. I stopped counting the days. I only counted the dead. The ocean plays tricks on your mind. Sometimes, in the mist, you'd swear you saw shapes' faces in the fog, ships that vanished when you blinked. The creak of the wood started to sound like whispers. The sea is alive. I'm sure of it. And it watches. We buried men at dawn, wrapped in canvas, sliding off the deck with a splash. The ocean swallowed them whole, without ceremony. No priest, no family, just waves and silence. One night, I woke to screaming. A man had gone mad. He tried to cut his throat open with a rusted knife. They stopped him, tied him to a post until morning. The next day, he jumped overboard on his own. There's no heaven at sea, only the water waiting for you. And then there were the punishments. Whipping for the smallest mistakes, 30 lashes for sleeping on the watch, 50 for talking back. Your back turned to meat. Some men died standing, lashed to the mast. The captain didn't care one less mouth to feed. The sun burned by day. The rain froze by night. I started to forget my mother's face. My own name began to sound strange in my head. I was just boy, hand, or bastard. And through it all, the ship kept moving slowly, endlessly, towards some distant shore that might not even exist. When we finally saw land, men cried, not from joy, from disbelief. The coast was green, humid, steaming under the sun. They called it paradise. But paradise doesn't bleed. We were told to row ashore and prepare the natives. That meant fire, gunpowder, and chains. They had homes, families, gods. We burned it all. The captain called it discovery. The priest called it conversion. I called it murder. We filled the ship with gold, spices, and human lives. They screamed when the chains closed. Some jumped into the water, preferring to drown than live as captives. I tried to look away, but their eyes found mine. Eyes that asked, "Why you? Why are you helping them?" I had no answer. I was a prisoner too, just with a different set of chains. Every night, I dreamed of the faces, the children, the fires, the smell of blood. The ocean didn't wash it away. It carried it with us, whispering, reminding. When we turned back for home, the ship was heavy with treasure, but there was no celebration. The crew was half dead, the rest hollow. We had discovered nothing but our own cruelty. The return voyage was slower. Sickness spread faster than the wind. Bodies lay side by side on the deck, covered in cloth, waiting their turn to be fed to the sea. I was one of the last still standing. My skin is yellow, my eyes sunken, my hands shook from hunger. We reached port months later. Fewer than half the men who left came back. The captain got a medal, the investors got rich, the priests wrote of glorious discovery. And we limped off the ship and vanished into the mud of the docks. No names, no graves, no stories. I tried to go home, but home didn't remember me. The sea had taken everything, my youth, my body, my soul. Now I sit by the harbour and watch the new ships leave. I see the same young faces, full of hope, full of lies. They think the world waits for them. The sea doesn't wait, it only hungers. If you listen closely, you can still hear us. The forgotten sailors, our bones crushed beneath the waves, our voices lost in the wind. We were never explorers, we were offerings, and that is why it sucked to be a sailor in the age of exploration.